So thank you for waiting and welcome to yet another day of the Jio MAMI 2023 industry program. For those of you who've come new and for those of you who were here yesterday, I'll just quickly explain what this year's industry program is really all about. It's really about building connections, starting conversations, communication on new ways ahead of production, of creation, of distribution, of doing business within the film space, of looking at the ecosystem. It's a post-COVID world, it's a different world. So really looking at new combinations, etc. And we hope that this year we'll have a lot of conversation starters which can evolve through the year into concrete plans so that next year we are here, we'll be really doing some concrete business in these rooms. Okay, so what is this morning about? We call it the cinema of the spectacle. This is almost on the verge of sounding as if I'm about to gush. I'll get straight to the point. So NEOM is hosting this morning and the lunch that follows hereafter. And I was reading and then I met Alison and she told me that NEO is new. And M represents the first letter of the Arabic word for future. Right, so NEOM. And then it just kind of fell into place because NEOM actually is this futuristic city that the Saudi government is working towards. And it's crazy. It's this vertical living, there are big buildings, it's supposed to house 9 million people. It's sustainable, there is no traffic, and it's all vertical. I'll just stop there. And it just boggled the mind and therefore cinema of the spectacle. But before we get into the panel, let's take a quick look at what NEOM really has to offer. Could we have the AV, please? Esteemed panel to discuss all of this and more. I'll start with Rohan Sippy, filmmaker, who's going to moderate the panel today. And we have with us Shakun Batra, Karan Anshuman, filmmakers all of them who actually weave in the human concern, storytelling, spectacle, where the story also becomes a spectacle, all together into this cinema space. And to discuss the NEOM point of view, we have Borg, the Managing Director, Media Industries, Entertainment and Culture at NEOM. And everybody must be wondering what's that fifth chair for? Wait and watch. Yes, Rohan, all yours.
Yeah, no, also I want to get as much out of this discussion, so I think it's great to just dive into it. I think everyone here is keen to know more, so I'd love it, Wayne, if you just started with the broader perspective that you have for NEOM.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ray. As you just heard, NEOM is sort of an amalgamation, the name of two languages, the Greek for new and the Arabic for future. So, you know, the essence of NEOM is new futures. It's a whole new jurisdiction within the kingdom. We're up on the northwest coast of Saudi Arabia. We cover a physical footprint of about 26,500 square kilometres. What does that look like? For the Europeans, it's Belgium. For the Americans, it's Massachusetts. So we cover a very large physical area. And the genesis of NEOM is about how do you create a new way, and a way that's made for change. And at its heart, to address the big challenge that the planet faces today, which is, in essence, sustainability. And the biggest impact on sustainability is urbanism. So for NEOM, it's about how do you redefine urbanism, how we live, how we work, how we interact and engage with each other, professionally, socially, and so forth. And it is a full jurisdiction. So as you heard, ultimately, NEOM will be home to some 9 million residents by 2050. At its core, or at its heart, is the line, a linear city that runs for 170 kilometres, that's 500 metres high, and is about vertical living. Not high-rise hell, but vertical living. So you'll have parklands elevated at 100 metres high, a football stadium at 250 metres elevation. And there won't be any roads or cars in NEOM. And the whole philosophy of NEOM is, and on the line, is about the 5-minute walkable city. So all your daily needs are within 5-minute walking distance, whether it's education, health, passive recreation, retail, whatever those needs may be. But NEOM isn't just the line. We have a region in the north called Trojena, which will be a mountain resort. We have a large advanced manufacturing and logistics port to the south. We have an international airport already with weekly flights to London, which is only 4.5 hours to Heathrow. We have a couple of flights a week to Dubai, as well as servicing all the other domestic cities. And shortly we'll be opening up into other European destinations. But it is about creating a new way, how we derive our energy, how we derive our food. NEOM will be 100% sustainable. Not net zero, but zero carbon. So we'll be entirely powered by wind and solar. We won't have any roads or cars in NEOM. And if you think about nature, at the heart of NEOM's philosophy is to preserve the pristine environment that we have. So today, we are only mandated to develop only 5% of that landmass, and the other 95% will remain in its pristine natural state. So within that large context and that large society and economy that's being developed, it's looking at what are going to be the key economic drivers. And one of those is, as everybody in this room will appreciate, is the media and the creative industries. If you look at most advanced economies today, one of the big drivers is the media industries, something that this country knows all too well and continues to develop, both in terms of its direct economic benefit in jobs and GDP, but also the soft power aspects of promoting the country. Korea more recently has become, held up as the golden child, but the Korean journey took 20 years to where they got to. And we see a big opportunity in the region. If you consider that the Middle East, North Africa market is about 500 million people today. But it underperforms for the size of market. For me, the strongest statistic to reflect that is that today 6% of the world's population are Arabic speakers, yet less than 1% of content right now is Arabic. So we see a huge opportunity. And why is that sort of disparity? Largely you have a fragmentation and underinvestment in infrastructure, you have scattered talent, and you have dispersed industry. So our focus and mandate is to create the regional hub for content creation, whether that's in the screen, in all aspects, whether it's television, film, animation, right across the value chain, gaming, console, PC, mobile, digital publishing, and obviously music, podcasts, and the like. So what we're doing is to create that regional hub for content creation where we create the focal point for industry with infrastructure for talent and really drive forward the ambition. And then with that, you know, we'll become one of the elite global media hubs, because today the industry doesn't participate in what is now, as you're well aware, a 24-hour industry. I'll get into some of the other detail later, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you. Covered, I mean, the nature of the need for the media industry. I think if you guys also just want to dive in with, as filmmakers, if there's anything that you would be wanting to question, I think that's the most useful thing. Otherwise, I'm happy to keep asking Wayne, and I'm sure he's more than happy to
I'll keep talking.
give more detail. But otherwise, if we could start otherwise with this specifically, if Shakun or Karan was coming in to shoot a series or a film today, what could they expect, or even all the producers out here?
Yeah, so, you know, we talk about, as you heard, you know, at the beginning, you know, this whole industry event is about new ways and new pathways. And at its heart, you know, the NEOM Media Hub in the end state will be the world's first truly integrated media hub, both physically and technologically. And if you consider what's happening in the industry today, the convergence that's happening, particularly with game engine technology, and how that's impacting every aspect of the value chain, how, you know, young people are going to be trained, how the creative process will happen, an integrated media hub, we believe really, you know, changes the paradigm there in a new way to create, a new way to teach, and a new way to collaborate. And then at the same time, as we all experience the pressure on budgets to get costs down, to become more efficient, and how to do that, and through technology drive improved processes and workflows that allows creators to really focus on what they do best and give them as many options as possible. But if they were to come in today, we have 4 sound stages up and running, average about 2,500 square meters each. We'll have 10 by the end of Q1 next year, including a volumetric stage. So, you know, we have, obviously you've seen some of the amazing scenery we have, but we've got, you know, great world-class sound stages up and running. We've got dedicated accommodation for cast and crew. We've got some 350 units today. That'll expand to 500 by the middle of next year. But we also have a very competitive and attractive production incentive scheme, okay, which these guys could take advantage of immediately. So today we sort of state 40%. We'll go a bit higher than that. It's a cash rebate. And we treat it, you know, in a very efficient way, whereby, you know, you submit your budget, your production schedule, and the script. We make sure we can do the project justice and we can deliver what you need. We'll advise you, you know, provisionally what you can expect by way of rebate. The production takes place. We audit you, and then at the end of that audit process, and the audit happens at the end of the physical production, by the way, not the end of the entire production. We'll advise you of what you're entitled to, and we request that you invoice us. And then between 45 and 90 days, we then will pay out the incentive. So it's a very prompt payment. We don't cash flow the rebate, but, you know, we do, you know, repatriate your funds very quickly. And again, you know, it's 40% plus. So if you want to know what the plus represents, come and see me afterwards.
First of all, it sounds really exciting. Everything, the city, the infrastructure. And as a true Mumbaiker, my first thoughts are, how much does the apartment cost? But because you're always looking for real estate. But anyway.
They'll be going on sale soon, actually.
Fair. I'll definitely look into that. But we've recently seen with Dune, you know, they've managed to shoot something that's so huge in scale. For someone like me, you know, who's not shooting massive scale movies, is it still a viable option to kind of, we recently saw, I think there's a Netflix movie that just came out called Fair Play, if I'm not wrong, and they shot it in Russia for some reason. And I'm just trying to figure out for something that's not massive, huge, mid-scale, mid-size, will still make sense?
Absolutely. Whilst we have great ambitions and we support, huge projects, we're working with budgets at all levels. We've shot local films with as small a budget as $500,000, right through to the other extent of 150 million. So, in the last 18 months or so, we've done 35 productions across documentaries, scripted television, unscripted television, feature films, local, regional, international. We've even had our first Bollywood feature, Donkey, which will be coming out, I think, Christmas, with Shah Rukh Khan. So he had an amazing experience there. And we want to work very closely with the Indian industry because I think we offer a lot. But yeah, we are, we're not snobbish. We don't believe, to have a full ecosystem, you need to cater to the spectrum of the industry. And that's important for me in terms of helping that ecosystem develop, but also create the training opportunities and create what is a vibrant ecosystem.
All right, I can, very exciting, as Shakun said. I guess, I primarily work in the series space. So one is that, the extended period of time that one has to be engaged. It's, oftentimes much longer than in engagement than it is for a film. And also you sort of keep probably coming back for multiple seasons. So I guess there is a longer engagement. One, has to just, be sure that everything is going to happen again and again. And also because we, in series you find there's a lot more crew, simply because there's a lot more cast that you're working with, the ensembles, and so, if just your cast numbers are in, over 100, say, and then on top of that, the crew, I guess my big question here is, how lean can one be when traveling to
I guess another way to say it is how much local crew is available and how many do you have to bring in?
That's a really good question. And to the point around television, so in unscripted, we work with John DeMole's company, Talpa. So one of his new reality formats, we've done the regional version. We're just becoming the international format hub for that show. We've got a stage-based series that will be it's an inner city based youth show that'll be in one of the stages. That's got a crew of about 200 people. So, the ability to, we've got a crew depth of between 3 and 4 today to handle production, but the crew we're drawing today is from Morocco, Egypt, Jordan, UAE, South Africa. And again, one of the reasons why it's important for me that we continue this pipeline is to continue to build confidence with crews that, if they do relocate to NEOM, there's a consistency of work and that they can develop their businesses and their careers there as well. So we don't have any challenges today. We're finding, because of our proposition, we are drawing a lot of production from the rest of the region to NEOM now, and the crew are seeing that, and they're more than happy to come and follow that and establish themselves there.
Yeah, I recently shot in Abu Dhabi, and I was surprised by the quality of the crew, and they've mostly shot so many international projects. They know exactly how things go and really streamlined. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm wondering if you guys are also training crew to kind of be up to the mark.
Yeah, absolutely. The core of what we do is about developing talent because, we recognize it's not sustainable to just keep importing en masse. And part of our mandate is to develop opportunities for young people in the region and in particular Saudi Arabia. So already in the time we've been open and operational, we've trained about 1,000 young Saudi nationals. We've got programs in place with the National Film and Television School in the UK. We're working closely with DigiPen out of Seattle, USC amongst others, and we'll be making some further announcements soon. We've just formalized an arrangement with the Korean Film Institute around training as well. So it's vitally important we develop those opportunities and attach trainees to the productions. And of the 1,000 that we've trained so far, virtually 99% have gone on to gain full-time employment as freelancers. And the emphasis is in vocational areas. areas, because again, sometimes it may not seem to be the sexy end of the business, but you need sort of set designers, builders, editors, continuity people, focus pullers. And that's what we sometimes forget. Everybody doesn't want to be a writer or director, as important as they are to the process, but we really need those vocational components, on the ground.
Absolutely, because sorry, Shakun, but it's one thing to have a whole bunch of shiny new toys, but it's really up to who's gonna operate them. Because I know in India we have some really interesting facilities, but like for example, I tried this virtual production rig that we had set up. The operators just didn't know what to do with it. It actually took more time to shoot than it would in a traditional.
It's a really good point.
Screen.
VR. There's a dearth of talent today who are able and capable of operating the systems, and that's a real focus for us. I mentioned we'll have a VR stage operating in Q2 next year, and too many instances around the world today, there isn't the talent to be able to manipulate that technology to the standard that directors and producers require and DOPs require. So it's vitally important we start now to develop that pool in a practical environment, not only blended with the classroom, but equally in operational situations.
And are you also is post-production also up and running right now?
Look, we've got a limited post-production offering. That'll expand. We'll be, I think, practically operational by Q2 next year. We will have a much more diverse offering and comprehensive offering. And that also will be eligible for our cash rebate as well. So all the more reason to do work there. But again, it's about developing the whole value chain for us.
Sorry is here to join us, and spectacle and spectacular as they come. And the reason he's late is because I never told him the time. So I'm sorry. Please carry on, gentlemen.
Yeah, sorry, we should carry on.
We're all starstruck. You see what you've done? You've left us all speechless.
No, I think it was a very, very relevant thing about developing the legacy of the crews that go there and setting up the training and bringing up as much local crew, because that'll bring the cost down for anyone who's coming in as well.
And again, I think, it's really important what NEOM represents to young people about a way where, as we should, have genuine concern about the planet and what we're doing to the planet. And NEOM is a global proposition to try and address that. So, we strongly believe for young people, our kids probably more to the point, will be attracted to come to NEOM because it is going to be a different way where our impact and our footprint, literally, figuratively, will be minimised in everything we do. And I think, again, even through the entire production process, and often, we're not the greenest of industries today. And at NEOM, everything we do is about leave no trace. In the environment, on the stages, and that's critically important to us. And I think that for young people wanting to get into the industry and deciding where they want to be in the industry, we think NEOM will resonate strongly, with that cohort.
I'm sorry I'm butting in it.
You're not butting
so
in
late. But yes, it's technology has always been there and will continue. It was there. I did a hell of a lot to bring in new kind of technology at that time for Sholay and all these films. But it will always be a tool. It will always help, and what everyone said now is absolutely true. You will always need each worker and each contributor to the whole pie. You cannot do it, or you think that all the technology is in your hand and you can...
AI will never replace the
will
human
never.
creative process.
This would all be it would be a helpful tool. We were doing something different at that time, the time of Sholay. I know to get the sound of a tanga, a chariot. We took the chariot into the studio just to record the sound of stepping up and stepping down. Now these are all, you can use all the technology in the world. Now you have so many sounds that are similar to that, and people may not even notice. But the effort and energy that you try to put in whichever field you take it. I had a guy on the sets called Aziz Bhai. My salutations to him even today. One day I just sat there on the outdoor and said, I need a shot on a motorcycle for these two characters, but I'm not finding any location. Can you find a location for me or send someone across? And the road needs to go up and down so I can see them disappearing and appearing and disappearing and appearing. 2 days later, he prepared the road.
Built one.
He built one right there. So, how can you do without these people? The same guy on Sagar built a bridge into the sea. Nothing happened to it for 2.5 years, with all the floods and with everything. His technology was perfect. His workmanship, it was amazing.
I think that's it. Often we think of the creative process as the writers and directors, but every aspect of, everyone's contributing to that.
No doubt that the writing, without that you can't have all this.
True.
No doubt without the actors, the result will not be the same. But every little bit helps. And every little bit you need that one person who can contribute. And for that moment, it seems to be that's all you want and that's all you need, and you must have it.
And they're passionate about that contribution.
Absolutely.
That's really the difference.
Yeah.
Should we open it up? If there are any questions coming in from, I don't know, are we supposed to do that? Yeah, Sunil, you want to start?
It's wonderful that you, and more and more sustainable it is, and I think it is the new way, a new idiom to create for the creative industry. But one of the things that I really want to find out on a couple of things, maybe it's already there and we have not discussed that. One is the creative muscles behind that with respect to the talent piece. Do you have libraries and do you have places to do research, and do you have enough educational institution to really nurture this entire ecosystem that you are building in such an amazing way? And of course, there are other ancillaries like insurance and the medical facilities for the crew and cast members to really do that, and how effective they are. Do you have any case study of any such mishap, or what was the way that you really build on that mishap to make it better? I think that would really give a lot of...
Thankfully, we haven't had any mishaps yet, and don't hope not to have any. Look, as we all understand, the production process is a process of problems and problem solving. In essence, whether it's a TV commercial or an epic, feature film, and it's about how you go about, addressing those challenges as they pop up, literally from pre-production to final day and wrap. And it's really about the team and the capacity of the team to be able to cope with it and ultimately address it. And that's what we sort of pride ourselves at NEOM in. In the short time we've been operating in the last 18 months, 2 years, we've managed to gather a team of industry professionals who are from industry. So we understand the process because we've been on the other side of the fence, and we understand what needs to happen. And as we like to sort of say, we're from industry for industry. So it's really about how to make sure we can address whatever those challenges and those issues are, and ensure that the production stays on time and on budget ultimately, which is, the mandate of a producer is to get it to happen and keep it as close to budget as possible. And you know, if there's any I suppose reflection of our ability to do that has been that, you know, we've seen producers return and come back to NEOM because of the experience they've had, you know, which has been a great one. And that's, I suppose, a testament to the, you know, to the great team we have and the commitment they have to, you know, to make it happen. And that's very much our mantra, to make it happen.
Which are the movies that are out there that we can see that are probably shot in NEOM? Is there anything that's out already?
They're all, well, Donkey's coming December. Hobal, which was out actually started screening in Toronto. Hajan, sorry, which was had its initial screenings, great critical, you know, reception. Hobal, which is just going in production. Desert Warrior, which has been our biggest film, that had Anthony Mackie in the lead, Ben Kingsley in support, was directed by Rupert Wyatt from the Planet of the Apes fame, and I think Mosquito Coast on Netflix. That's coming out, I think, towards the end of this year. You know, with the actors' strike, it's sort of playing a bit of havoc. $1 Million Land, which is a reality show which is out there, certainly in the Middle Eastern TV market. Within Sands is another production that's having its premiere shortly in the Kingdom. So there's quite a few that are sort of coming down the pipe.
Hi, my name is Mahesh Naya. I'm a filmmaker. 2 questions. One is there a specific number of days you need to shoot to get the rebate, like in many countries? Secondly, in terms of the virtual sets which you're saying, for instance, if you want to, is there a team there which has Unreal Engine already, for instance, as software is loaded, where we can go and look at the set which is there in terms of it? So is the technical team for the software of Unreal Engine and all those kinds of backgrounds to be created, are they available there, or do we have to take it from here?
Again, it depends on every situation is slightly different. So a lot of production teams want to bring their own sort of, you know, setup, but we can make it available, you know, both Unreal and Unity. And then to your first question, we don't have a minimum. We have a sort of a minimum spend per se, which is $500,000 spend, which is, you know, we think quite generous in terms of excess, you know, threshold, you know, to enter.
Hi, I'm Anirudh. Firstly, I'd like to say that I love your energy. Forgive me if this question's a little basic.
And I only woke up a couple of hours ago. You should see me.
All right. So you mentioned that only 5% of the region is sort of, you know, being developed, and 95% will be preserved. So, I mean, firstly, I don't want to assume. I would love to know more about what the topography looks like right now, because that's a really wide canvas, right, to sort of go out and shoot in. And secondly, when you say it's being preserved, are there any plans to sort of create a more diverse topography there? Because, like, just going off the films you mentioned, most of them are, you know, like oriented to a certain sort of topography, right? And I feel like if I'm going to go there, I would want something very diverse to be able to shoot in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's in terms of the natural environment, it's quite diverse. So we've got about 480 kilometers of coastline. So
there's snow-capped mountains nearby too in the winter.
You stole my thunder. So yeah, we've got about 480 kilometers of coastline, beaches. You know, we're on the Red Sea, so we've got these amazing coral reefs. You know, I snorkel. I live up there. I've been living up there for 3.5 years, and I snorkel most weekends. And as an Australian, it sometimes puts, you know, it embarrasses me when I see the quality of the reefs there versus the barrier reef in Australia. We have mountains, so you know, we have mountains that elevate about 2,500 meters, which we do get snow in the winter months. We've been awarded the Asian Winter Games for 2029. Wow. So, you know, that sort of says a lot. We've got some incredible sort of cavernous boulder areas. We're actually going to double for Utah for an upcoming US production. We've got other areas that literally are out of this world in terms of Martian, intergalactic sort of landscapes. And then in terms of built environment, that's evolving. So obviously you got one extreme, which is going to be the line, the Trojena region, which is based up in those mountains. It's going to be quite spectacular. You've seen some recent announcements on the Gulf of Aqaba coastline, the first installation there called Layla. We also have Oxygon, which is our industrial and advanced manufacturing and logistics hub. That'll be part on land, part built on water. So you're going to have, in terms of built environments, also quite an array of landscapes. We're rewilding many parts of NEOM. So in terms of bringing back species that had been extinct for many hundreds of years are being reintroduced today, and we're also managing the water tables. So for a long time, a lot of the water tables had been sort of drained because they were sort of being illegally sort of drawn upon. We're allowing those water tables to go back to their natural levels. So in terms of natural environments, you're going to start to see a regreening of many parts of NEOM as well. So it'll evolve both in the terms of the built environment, but also the natural environment.
And I guess a lot of detailed photographs will be on the websites.
Yeah, so if you go to our website, you'll get a range of the different environments we have. And again, our intention is not to be NEOM for NEOM. Our role is to be agnostic and to double and to be whatever we want, either in terms of those locations, but equally now with our VR facilities that are coming and the sound stages that we have, that you can do whatever you want to do. Basically, like I said earlier, we're just about to kick off a TV series where we're going to be. It's set in a city. And it's a youth show, and we're going to be on the stages up there. I should say also, what I've been describing are just our interim facilities. Our end state media hub will be about 1 million square meters, and that'll be situated on the line. And that's going to start with 50 sound stages and studios. We will have game studios, industry learning facilities, industry tenancy space, incubation and startup space, and that's all integrated. So
that's all in the line.
That's all in the line, and adjacent to
how many years down the line is that?
Exactly, and that'll go live at the end of 27, early 28. So it's not that far away. So everything I've been describing are just our interim facilities today, and then we'll move to our permanent home on the line.
And what about when you do big productions and you need featured casts and a big amount of background actors? For something like that, since you're already supporting big productions, are there people that you can bring into NEOM, or are there enough background actors that you can hire?
Well, today, just at NEOM alone, we've got 4,500 people living at NEOM. And they're all aspiring actors, by the way.
That's what I was going to ask you. Are they all actors?
But within an hour and a half, there's a city called Tabuk that's about an hour and a half away. There's 1 million people living there. So one of the big films, you saw some of the scenes in the show reel, Desert Warrior, had some big crowd scenes. So we drew on a lot of the regional population as extras. We actually discovered some undiscovered talent. One of the leads, young boy, who's going to make a big splash on the international stage, literally, as one of the lead actors. So, we've got access to plenty of talent. And again, we can draw from the region and beyond. But, today, those 4,500 workers that are living at NEOM come from 91 nationalities. So again, it reflects what NEOM's all about, which is about being a global centre to attract, the best talent from around the world, and to attract investment from around the world, and really help diversify, the Saudi economy moving forward.
And I guess the other thing I asked you about is the language of communication is also about English being spoken across
Yeah, look, we're an international centre, so it's English, it's Arabic, it's Hindi. We've got a large, and diverse group of people there, and again, we're working with some French producers and Italian producers at the moment as well, and really that's at the heart of what NEOM's about. It is not just about a regional or a local play. This is about becoming, a global media hub. We're not saying we're going to be the biggest and the best in the world, because that's not how our industry works, but we want to be the centre of the industry, certainly for the MENA region, and at the same time participate in what we know is a global 24-hour industry.
Yeah, I think there's an incredible opportunity for India, given how big a market the Middle East in general is for our content. I think there's an incredible opportunity for our makers to go and further cement that as well.
Yeah, and look, then there's always been that historic link, between the Indian sort of film and television market and the region, and for a long time, and particularly as far back into the 70s, there's a great affinity in those markets with Indian content, and I certainly see it when we do bring talent to the region, and people are just awestruck. Not even starstruck, but awestruck at having these famous faces and that they've only ever seen on a screen, literally standing before them at NEOM, and never it struck me a few months back when we had some talent there, and obviously when Shahrukh was there, it blew some very hardened executives away who were a bit dumbstruck in front of them.
That's great. Are there any more questions, or we're... Yeah.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for a really insightful session, and NEOM sounds really exciting project. I actually had a question from the sort of content development point of view. I know that there are strict sort of media laws in Saudi Arabia, and I know that they apply to films that are screening in Saudi Arabia. I mean, we have, quite an overactive censor board here as well. But in terms of the content itself that we may want to shoot in NEOM, would there be any screening sort of process for it, any guidelines, any permissions that we may need to sort of take, or does that not apply to international projects? Like, if you could just shed some light on this.
No, should highlight that NEOM will be a semi-independent zone within the country, and we're developing our own sort of legal and regulatory framework that's going to be highly competitive to attract talent, to attract investment from around the world. So in terms of how we operate, you submit your project, we'll review that in terms of its content. From our view is it's about connecting with audiences, so it's about content that's going to resonate with audiences, and it just goes through a standard process. As I said, we've handled about 35 productions now over the past 18 months from all over the world, and they've all gone through, without any issue.
Okay, that's good to hear.
I have one last question. Is for an Indian, like when Donkey was shot here, are they line productions company there? Are there any Indian line productions companies that are starting there?
It's funny you should say. I was having a meeting about that this morning. So, yeah, we have a number of production services companies on the ground. We're looking to bring more in, and as we start to develop the relationship with the Indian market, we are looking to bring in a couple of Indian production service companies as well.
So just to follow up on that, to advise producers who are looking to do stuff there, would you guys provide a list of things, or would they go to people who are in the region, like Dubai?
We'll provide that service, that interface. Our role is to facilitate and enable in every sense of the word. So we're not about developing content. There's plenty of people, who can do that. Our role is to make sure we've got the right infrastructure in place, the right incentives program, supported with, a depth and breadth of talent. And then finally, it's about how we get out of the way. From a government perspective, remove the friction, because as we all know, that can be painful and costly. So it's about red carpet, not red tape, as far as we're concerned. Come to us, myself, my team, Eloise here, Matthews, and we'll help facilitate that process for you.
Sorry.
At first, मेरा नमस्कार Honorable Ramesh Sippy ji ko. I'm from Ranchi, Jharkhand International Film Festival. Honorable Ramesh Sippy sir visited there in 2018 as our honorable guest. This is my gratitude. My one question is for filmmaker. If a filmmaker want to go in NEOM for Reiki, is there any facility you are providing to them?
Sorry, I missed a bit. Oh, for scouts, yeah, absolutely. Now
Okay.
we have Reikis all the time.
This is mentioned in your website.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have we're looking to host a major industry showcase early next year, which will invite people from all around the world to experience NEOM firsthand and all our facilities. But if you have a specific project, talk to the team and we can make arrangements for a visit.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you Wayne, Shakun, Karan, and Dad.
Thank you.
It was a very, very good session. I hope you guys enjoyed it and enjoy the lunch.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I think all of us believe, I think anybody in the film business probably started with that one belief in magic, and magic in the simplest of moments and in the biggest of spectacles. And today I think it's also been about how difficult it is to create that one small moment of magic on screen with all the facilities, all the tools, all the talent, and all the trained, skilled people. With that, thank you so much for this session.